factory, my fertilizer factory, which is my pasture with trees and shrubs.
Yes.
Every night the animals are coming to sleep here.
Uh-huh.
So here, slightly different to a traditional kraal. Traditional kraal, they leave it open. Just some sticks to keep the animals in one place. When it rains on the manure and the urine. Then what happens? All the nutrients get washed out.
Yes.
Again, in the sun, the same thing. When the manure dries, the nitrogen, most especially nitrogen, goes up to the air, back to the air. So what you're left with is that powder, which has very few nutrients left. Most of the nutrients from the manure from the normal kraal are gone. I'm not saying it's not good to use, but if you really want to have good crops with manure, you need to look at how do I keep the nutrients in the urine and the manure, stop them from getting lost. So the first thing we did is we put a roof on top of the kraal. Now this is iron sheet, you can use thatching grass, any resources you have available to you. In that way, all the urine and manure, they remain in one place. The next thing we did, we started adding leaves, dry grass, maize stalks, soya residues, anything which we don't use, is not used on the farm, we come and throw it in here. That helps. You need something dry to soak up the urine. If we don't have that, it would be too wet in here.
Okay.
Again, that would be a problem for the health of the animals, and some of the nutrients would be lost. So adding the dry stuff really helps to hold on to that nitrogen. In fact, there's more nitrogen in the urine than there is in the manure. So this is a way of basically protecting those nutrients, which are very valuable. You know, a bag of fertilizer costs 300 kwacha, 350 kwacha. For me, I haven't used fertilizer in 13 years. I'm getting very high yields. 100, even 200 bags in a hectare of maize for free, just using this simple way of protecting the nutrients. Just to give you an idea, at the moment I only have 2 adult animals. This whole last year I had 2 adult animals and 3 young ones. The manure from those 2 animals, because the young ones don't sleep inside, because my bull, which is one of my big animals, doesn't let them sleep in the kraal. So the manure from 2 animals has fertilized 4.5 hectares of crops, which is usually you need 50 tons per hectare of manure. We're putting less than 4 tons of manure because we protected the nutrients. Less than 4 ox carts per hectare of crop of maize, because we don't put the manure on the legumes because they make their own fertilizer. So we put that only. So basically it's a way of guaranteeing that you hold on to your nutrients. That makes your manure much more powerful. That means you need less manure and less animals to do the same job. Again, the other benefit, not just the nutrients, is the organic matter, which helps to make the soil soft and to accept the rain and to hold the rain. So even if you have 2-3 weeks, no problem. You're still going to get a good crop. So where others fail because they're not using organic matter, they're burning all the residues, they're not using manure, they won't get anything. I mean, really, to me, this should be something which is promoted all over Zambia. This way of managing manure, because if you take 50 ox carts to the field, it's a lot of labor.
Exactly.
Now, us we're only taking 2, 3, maximum 4 to the same hectare, much less labor, but you get the same benefit for the soil, and you're not using any fertilizer. You're reducing cost of production. I know a lot of farmers will say, no, we're not going to spend money on roofing sheets. Use grass, something to keep the rain off your manure and urine. Then throw there leaves, grass, residues, whatever you have left over before the rain starts. Just throw it in there. Then in September, beginning of September, we take all of it out, a big layer like this, over the whole year. We put a bit of water on it, cover it with soil, and it rots down into a compost, which is very easy now to apply in the field. So it's a low labor system, and really if you have animals, you shouldn't have the excuse that I need to buy fertilizer.
Exactly.
2 animals for 4.5 hectares.
2 animals supply 4.5
2 big animals. It's
hectares.
enough manure for 4.5 hectares of crops.
Wow.
The maize which we see around. So in my view, manure and the urine that animals produce in Zambia is a grossly underutilized resource. If all farmers were using this system, we could cut our fertilizer production almost completely. I'm not saying we can do it, from the beginning, because fixing soil takes a bit of time.
Exactly.
I would never tell a farmer, stop using fertilizer. What I would tell a farmer is, look, let's start thinking about a system. Start adding manure, crop rotation, intercropping, mixing the crops, some agroforestry. Slowly, your soil become better and better and better, and then you'll be able to leave the fertilizer. I would never tell a farmer stop using fertilizer now, because it takes time to produce a good soil and to get the system working.
Okay.
This system where we are now after 12 years is not what we started with. We're making it better every year, slowly but surely. And really we're seeing the results in terms of improved soil, drought tolerance, and every year our crops are getting better. So, really it's there's a massive opportunity here for farmers to improve their soils, build drought resistance into their system. So even if we have long dry spell, we still get the good crops.
Okay.
And less cost.
Exactly.
Doesn't cost money, just a bit of effort to bring the residues and to take it out and to take it to the field.
Okay.
But much less than the normal system of manure. I mean, I always tell farmers, the nutrients in manure and urine are the same nutrients you're buying in a bag of fertilizer. Now tell me this, would you go and buy a bag of fertilizer for 300 kwacha, leave it in the sun and the rain for a year and expect it to work?
Definitely not.
You wouldn't. And it's the same thing for manure. If you just leave manure in the sun and the rain for 12 months, it's not going to do anything. It's not completely useless, but most of the nutrients have gone with the sun and the rain. So this is a massive opportunity, the way I see it. The amount of animals we have in Zambia, there's almost 3 million cattle alone, not including the chickens and the pigs and the goats. That's almost enough to cover 2 million hectares. In fact, it's more than enough to cover 2 million hectares, which is about what we plant in maize crop, 2 to 2.5 million hectares a year. We have the resources to grow the whole country's maize crop for free, but we are not utilizing it.
Want to buy fertilizer.
And the same fertilizer, if it's not used properly, damages the soil, makes the soil acidic.
Exactly.
Then you have to apply lime, which is another cost, which no farmers are doing. It reduces the organic matter. If you put too much urea on the soil, it will reduce your soil organic matter, which makes the soil hard. Again, we come back to these dry spells. The soil is too hard to accept the rain. It will run off, causing erosion, taking topsoil, causing floods downstream, and the crops will be wilting in a short time because none of the water's gone into the root, and the soil can't hold it because the organic matter is gone. So we really need to have a critical look at our management practices, and that's when we can really start looking at agriculture taking a leading role in Zambia as a driver for the economy. So I think the opportunity is massive, and simple things. It looks simple, just some scrap metal poles, some bits of wire and some grass. We don't think it can make a difference. But if you add that up over the millions of farmers which we have, we'll be having improving soil, reduced cost of production, and more harvest in the end of the day. And I'm not saying don't use fertilizer, that's not what I'm saying. But we need a system that even if we use fertilizer, we still harvest, and we make our soils better and better. So the fertilizer we do use is more effective over time.
You've just explained to me what low input agriculture is all about. Just from this explanation, I get a clear understanding of the difference between high input and low input agriculture. Awesome explanation. Another question, Seb, that I know a lot of people will ask out there. When you started farming, which is 15 years ago.
This farm 13 years ago, but I've been farming for 20 years.
20 years. So when you started farming, Seb, why did you make the decision to be a small-scale subsistence farmer and not a commercial farmer? Because you had the opportunity, I'm sure, to choose between the two. Why did you pick to be a small-scale farmer that does everything simply without complicated equipment? Why did you make that decision?
No, I think there are a number of reasons, but probably the first reason is if you're looking at rural development. I grew up thinking, what am I going to do with my life? I've had lots of opportunity. My family have allowed me to have a good education. I'm never going to starve or go hungry. Now, what can I do with my time to make my life productive and do something good with it? So at the end of my life, I can say, I think I've done what I set out to do. And really, given my opportunity, being basically coming from a privileged background of having education, not having to worry about making money to support my family, I thought, no, let me try and do something which is going to have a positive effect for the people who don't have that opportunity, so that they can have a better life. So really my focus, ever since I was young, was on rural development. And really that brought me to investigate and start looking at ways that we could survive and live and prosper without having this expensive farming which everyone is promoting, because people just don't have the money.
Exactly.
The small money people get from their field goes to school fees, goes to the clinic, and that's it, it's gone. And there's no more money for next year. So that got me thinking, now, is there any other way we can produce food without the need for fertilizer and chemicals and all these other things, which are, one, very costly, and two, in the long term, degrading the environment? What are we doing for our children and grandchildren and their children?
Exactly.
So it started me off on a journey to really think about, is there another way to do it? And I thought to myself early on, if I'm going to really make a difference to understanding these things, I have to do it myself, with my hands. Because one thing is, from a book, you can get lots of ideas from all over the world. May not work here in Zambia. So let me pick up the hoe, the axe, and get to work. And this is the product of 12 years of doing that. The other thing I knew, if this was going to work for me, I had to make money. I had to be running as a business, which it has done for the last 20 years. I've been running as a business, growing commercially. So it's not like a demonstration farm, although it is. That's one of the purposes of this farm, is to demonstrate what's possible.
Yes.
But it's always been a business. How could I tell someone, no, this is how to make money, then I'm not making money from it myself.
Exactly.
So this is a working farm. This is my profession. I make my money from it. And it's an example for people to come and learn and see, oh, okay, this is how you do the manure. This is how you do pigs. This is how you do chickens. This is how you do your grazing management. This is how you grow maize. And, I'm still learning. Like everyone, I think the last day I'll be learning is the day I die.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say I know everything by any means. There's still a lot of things to learn, But hopefully that answers your question into why I got into this.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.